loves, Kim here, and I'm back with another video. So today I'm doing a creative sim video of The Incredibles, and The Incredibles is an amazing Pixar animated film that came out about 10 years ago, maybe even closer to 11 years ago. But yeah, the premise of this film is a family of superheroes, starring the dad, Mr. Incredible, his wife Elastigirl, and their kids, and Mr. Incredible's best friend, and a couple of others. But basically it starts off with Mr. Incredible. He's at a normal desk job and he's really depressed, and the supers, or the superheroes, they've been kind of forced into hiding when superpowers and superpower activity was banned by the government back in the day. So all of them have been just kind of forced into hiding in plain sight and just assuming normal roles in society. And in the beginning of the first film, Mr. Incredible, or Parr, he's really unfulfilled in that aspect of really just showing off his natural gift. And by the way, his gift is super strength. So yeah, here he is. I think I gave him the aspiration to be the leader of the pack. He is a natural leader and he just loves being with other supers. So yeah, that's just the role that he naturally assumes. And also being a parent, just being the leader of his family unit is something that he assumes pretty easily. I think some of the other traits I made him was self-assured. I believe he is an insider, and I can't quite remember the last one for sure. I think I also made him family oriented, but I could be wrong with that. So now we're moving on to Miss Helen Parr, who is Bob's wife, aka Elastigirl, and her superpower is elasticity. She's able to stretch her body and manipulate it to perform different tasks, whether it's stretching out to stop a train, which was one of the big scenes in the second film, or widening out her body to provide like a parachute. She's able to manipulate her limbs to her will, and it really comes in handy, especially when the supers are in a bind. So yeah, how are you guys doing today? I'm doing great, actually. I'm really excited to be doing more creative sims. I know I do a lot of building on my channel, so it's nice to venture out into other parts of the Sims game, and I hope you all will enjoy this video. I would say the most difficult thing with Miss Helen Parr was getting her head right in the film. Like, the kind of style that The Incredibles is done is very, very cartoony. Some of their extremities are exaggerated, like their heads, for instance, is not really normal to human anatomy. So really getting the shape together for Helen and Violet and some of the other characters as well was just kind of difficult, but I think it all works out in the end. Also, another challenge was not having the hair that was in the movie. I do get pretty close in my opinion, and I do the best that I can, but it's not exact. But hopefully you will still enjoy this creative sim. I gave Helen the aspiration of being the super parent because she just really loves her family and she's a super. I believe I also made her romantic, good, and something else. I'm sorry, something else. But yeah, we're moving on to Violet. Violet is the daughter of Bob and Helen, and she is a teen. In my opinion, she's on the younger spectrum of teenagedom, so maybe like 14. And her power is invisibility, and she's also able to create force fields out of thin air, basically. And she's also kind of assumed the role of a third parent when it comes to her younger brothers Dash and Jack. She is a worrier, and in the first film she starts off not being really confident in herself, but eventually through discovering her powers and just putting herself out there, she becomes more confident. And yeah, you can just really tell. I believe I gave Violet the aspiration of finding a soulmate, but I don't make her a romantic sim. I think her traits are a bookworm and clumsy. I gave her the clumsy trait because with her really discovering her power, she makes just a lot of clumsy mistakes, not being super confident in herself, so I felt like that was appropriate. And I also feel like Violet is one to kind of keep to herself and really focus on books as a way to offset her social awkwardness. But yeah, now we are making Violet's brother Dash. Dash's ability is speed, and he is seriously one of a kind. Dash is very energetic. He is always just ready to go and fight the bad guys, even though he's a little kid. But yeah, I gave him the aspiration to be a rambunctious scamp, and I think the trait that I gave him was goofball. I didn't want to go the obvious route and give him the active trait because they're all superheroes, so they're all obviously active. So I gave him the goofball trait because I felt like that played more into his personality and not just his superhero ability. Going through my reference pictures, I didn't realize that Dash had freckles, so I made sure to add that little skin detail as well. Next we are making Jack Jack. Jack Jack is the baby of the family, and in the first film, the family, they're not really aware that Jack Jack actually has powers. Like, they're just wondering what his super ability is going to be, but unbeknownst to them, his babysitter will always just catch Jack Jack being a part of all of the suspicious activity and not really knowing how to react to it, or even if anyone would believe her. And then in The Incredibles 2, we discover that Jack Jack has like 17 powers, so he is an amazing baby. Now we're moving on to Frozone. His real name is Lucius Best, and he is the best friend to Mr. Incredible. Frozone's superpower is creating ice and being able to freeze objects. So he can freeze his enemies, he can use his ice to create like shields and also like modes of transportation. So I think he has a really cool and transferable skill. Physically, Lucius has really big eyes, and he has a very long but slender face. And in the film, he's so funny because he's often always on the phone with his wife. Like, she's constantly concerned if he's out here trying to be a superhero again, because like I said earlier, being a super has been banned by the government, so she's constantly concerned about him trying to relive his glory days. And he's always trying to push her off the phone really quickly so he can get back to fighting the bad guys. And he has this signature blue turtleneck, and I was so delighted to see that we had an item very similar to it in game. I believe I gave him the aspiration of friend of the world, only because I felt like that was very appropriate for a superhero. And I think I actually do give him the active trait along with cheerful and a bro. Now we are creating the iconic, the legendary Edna mode, and I love her. She is an artist like myself. She's very particular, and she takes no crap from anyone. She is amazing. I'm sorry, I really love Edna mode. What I admire about her the most is that although she doesn't have superpowers, she uses her talents to cater to the super's needs as far as making sure their costume works well with their ability. And that's something that is invaluable, really. She has a deep respect and understanding for these superheroes, and they truly trust her with keeping them safe, really. I wish we can control height because Edna mode is of short stature, but she more than enough makes up for her short height and her big personality. Another key thing about Edna Mode, besides her iconic hair and sunglasses, well, not sunglasses, regular glasses, but they're thick frames, she always wears black. I haven't seen her in anything else besides black. Now, unfortunately, in game, we don't have anything as fabulous as something Edna Mode would wear, but I do make do with the full body outfit that came with the City Living Pack. It's technically a dark brown, but that's the closest I can get to something I can see Edna Mode wearing. But yeah, what actually inspired me to do this whole build was when I came across Edna's hair that she has. I was like, yes, I have to do the Incredibles. This is going to happen. So Edna Mode and that hair that came with Dine Out really inspired this whole cast. And yeah, she's always an inspiration, so it's just appropriate that she inspired this video. It is just super appropriate. What I enjoy the most is in the second film when Edna babysits Jack when they're trying to figure out all of his powers, because obviously he has a lot of them, and Mr. Incredible wanted to get a super suit for him, and just kind of like how they bonded and was able to interact, and just all the cute little scenes they had, like that just completely stole my heart in The Incredibles 2. Now I'm just going back and adjusting a lot of the facial features on Elastigirl as well as Violet, just making them look a little bit more true to form in my opinion. So I changed Elastigirl's hair. Although stylistically the first one was closer, I just felt like this hair embodied more of Elastigirl. And I believe I also changed Violet's hair and make her face a little bit wider and work on her eyes as well. On Violet, getting her eyes right, and I still don't feel like they're completely right because her eyes are incredibly huge, but I do my best to get it as close as it is in the film. So yeah, it was definitely a work in progress with Helen and Violet, just getting them right. Violet's eyes are actually, like, the pupil color is actually a little bit darker. It's actually more kind of like on the purpley or violet side, but obviously we don't have that, so I'm constantly flipping back and forth between this gray color and this blue color. I noticed that all the kids have like bluish eyes, and the dad has bluish eyes, but the mom has kind of brownish red eyes. And if I'm not mistaken, aren't blue eyes like a recessive trait? I don't know, I'm not a scientist, but yeah, that's just what I thought. But anyway, you guys, this is our last sim. Her name is Mirage, and Mirage is introduced initially as a bad guy. She is kind of like the seductive sidekick to Syndrome, who is the main antagonist in this film. Her physical characters are like really large green eyes, and she has like this platinum blonde hair, and her frame is more like slender built. I gave her the aspiration of Public Enemy. Like I said, she starts out as a bad guy, and then she eventually moves over to the good side at the end of the first film, when Syndrome is so blinded by his rage against Mr. Incredible and subsequently his family that he was willing to sacrifice any and everyone to get back at him. And that made Mirage really realize that she wasn't about that life. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and hop off here. I just want to say thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe if you haven't done so already, and feel free to follow me on my social medias. My Instagram handle is Simply-Nisey, and you can find me on Twitter at Simply-Nisey YT. And be sure to follow me on the gallery for more builds and creative sims. My origin ID is Simply-Nisey. But again, you guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you all in the next video. Bye guys.